We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Junk Dealers.
Real estate junkies.
I've got Mike Nussbrain today.
Best place to be.
I thought that was intentional.
We love you, Deal Junkies. Thanks for listening again. I'm Gabe Johansson here with Mike Nuss and Trevor Howard. You're not going to believe what Trevor's wearing today. He's got his fake silver chain. Although we heard yesterday your silver chain is real.
It was certified.
But he's got camo short shorts on, a shirt that says "Why I Lose at Pickleball." He got a new hairdo, shaved off half of his eyebrows, and he's wearing Valentino platform tennis shoes from Turkey.
They're pretty sick, right?
They've got diamonds on the side. But they're fake Valentinos.
This is a whole new aura. What did you say? Pimp my aura?
Yeah, that's what Caleb said.
Okay.
And I'm going to lift my Prius.
Oh, he's going to lift his Prius.
My gosh, you didn't even hear. Oh, you did. That's the pimp the rat.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are excited to have a special guest in the studio with us today. Thanks for being with us. Caleb Webster is a 32-year-old entrepreneur, broker, real estate investor, and developer. Also,
that's right,
hangs his shingle at Rare Bird. So
for now, I mean, I'm on the market, so
dude,
this always happens when Mike brings a guest.
Are you guys friends also, or just coworkers?
I went to a poker night once with Mike. Oh, no, I think Tyler probably invited
Did you
me.
win? Did you take Mike's money?
No, I think I was second out.
Apparently, I'm not
very
friends
good
with
at
anyone
bluffing.
because I never show up to anything.
Yeah.
That is true. You don't. The
I
amount
know.
of things I invite Mike to that he doesn't show up to is extremely high.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just because he's so important. He has a lot of other things to do.
Stretched
than hang out with
thin.
you.
No, he always says he has to go hang out with his daughters.
He loves his kids and his dog. That's why. But this isn't about Mike. This is about Caleb.
Why do you try to make it about me?
So what's
But
it
you
like?
have to start it off with the Pimp My Ride.
I want to. Oh, Pimp. Yeah, tell us about Pimp My Ride.
Trevor apparently went away for who knows how long, comes back with
Couple
an
weeks.
entirely different look. I'm like, is there a show in Europe that he was featured on?
Yeah.
Like the European version of Pimp My Ride.
I think it was more like
Pimp My Aura.
Bachelorette,
Bro,
or Bachelor.
No,
or
do you know
something?
what's funny on that? So Jan is going on that show.
Is he?
On Bachelor, like
On
the Bachelor, or
something
what?
like that's called Married at First Sight. So you get married, he goes to the
such a
altar.
bad idea.
You go to the altar and you see them for the first time. They like matchmake you, and then you're like, you say,
Is
you're
it legally
married or
You
not.
say yes or no on the spot.
No, so he said it's not legally binding until a few weeks after. So you do the honeymoon and everything, and then you get to decide. And he's
This-
Did you get a rent before you buy the car?
Jan should write a book on midlife crisis.
Didn't he just get
Who
married?
comes up with these show
not anymore.
concepts?
Oh.
I think I'd watch that one. That sounds
We could
pretty
come
good.
up with a real estate version of that.
Is that how you met your wife, Caleb? On that show?
Yeah, Married at First Sight.
But you are married. You're a new
I'm
dad.
married.
You've got a 1-year-old now, so you're not sleeping much.
No, he sleeps through the night
Oh.
for pretty much the whole time.
These new millennials, they just know how to live life better than we did.
Yeah, they do. They make it look a lot easier.
They
anyway.
do. They do. They have all the fixes.
They don't have the style we had, though. I mean, this is
I have way better style than you.
it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
You cannot
Raised
put me in the
platforms.
same category as Trevor. I don't.
No,
I
you're-
refuse to be in.
Yeah,
the,
you look
the
like that's what
Valentino
we wore Levi's
chain.
and a t-shirt
Thank
too
you,
back
yeah.
then. So you got the Gen X thing going, even though you're only 32.
No, I don't
want to
be in the Gen X category either.
What do you want to be? What are you?
I just don't think Trevor should represent millennials as far as
fair.
fashion choices.
Oh,
That's fair.
he's a world traveler, so
I
he's
mean-
been influenced by many cultures.
This is the output of a machine trying to be human. This is what happens.
This is a
think
chat
it's more of
GPT
like a-
closet.
Yeah. Yeah.
More like middle school.
You should choose a better AI program.
So you guys don't like this style?
No, I
You
like
know
it.
what?
I
I'm
like it
sure
for
I
you.
wore that in middle school, actually.
Oh, you got a
Quite
couple
positive.
bracelets. I like the bracelets too, man. You're just blinging today.
I'm getting a piece of jewelry from every country I go to.
I think we call this a glow up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you were a little more robotic, and now you got this whole thing going on. It might be a little too much for me to handle.
It is. No, that's the whole reason we're sidetracked is because his aura has it's really throwing everything off.
It's just stealing all the attention.
Yeah, I might cry and leave actually halfway through.
Back to Caleb. So we want to get to know you a little bit. You started in real estate, you said, when you were about 25 years old. So let's go back a little bit further. So when you were growing up, tell us a little bit about your life and maybe some of the things that influenced you to want to get into real estate from early on? Was your family entrepreneurial? Were you driven by money? How did life start out? When did you know you were going to be one of these kind of entrepreneurial types?
So going way back, I did not grow up in the U.S. I grew up in Asia. So me and Sang, we're blood brothers.
You definitely got rid of the accent better than he did, though.
Honestly, Sang and I talked. We've lived in the States almost the same amount of time.
Really?
Yeah, and he's about the same age as me. So
What part of Asia?
in Nepal.
Why were you in Nepal?
No way.
Yeah, I was against my will. My parents were missionaries there, so.
Oh, wow.
But lived 17 years there, and then 1 year in the Philippines.
Isn't that where Mount Everest is?
Yeah, did
It
you
is, yeah.
you climb Mount Everest?
Yeah, it was like a family tradition. We would climb it like every spring.
to the top.
Yeah.
Oh,
Barefoot.
well, if you live in
We just
Nepal,
rope a couple of Yetis together, and they would just pull us to
you
the
can't
top.
see Everest, right, from Nepal.
You can.
Oh,
You'd
you
have
can?
to get. It's not actually that impressive because everything else around it's like pretty much the same height, so it's kind of hard to pick. It's not like
Oh, dang.
Mount Hood, but you can see it. You just got to get.
It doesn't stand out in the mountain range, you're saying? It's
No,
just-
honestly, like Mount Hood, Mount Rainier, more impressive because nothing else is the same height.
There's a
Mount Everest,
contrast.
like everything is 27,000 feet around it,
okay.
so you
Jeez.
can't really pick
Have
it
you,
out.
have you
and-
ever gone up it actually, partway even?
Yeah, up to base camp, but not like. I mean, that's still.
That's
I don't
a
know, 18,000 feet, so
yeah.
it's still up there, but
Still 150%.
you're
of
not.
Mount
It's
Hood.
not mountaineering to get up there. It's just you're just walking at
Yeah.
elevation. So
Have you ever wanted to climb Mount Everest? Is that been a
literally
thing?
zero? I mean, I don't know how much you know about like the commercialization of
It costs
climbing
a
now.
lot.
It costs like $80,000 now. It's a 6-week endeavor because you go up to base camp 1, you got to go back down. It's just all this acclimatization, and it's a traffic jam up to the top. Like you're just in like
A line.
bumper to bumper traffic up to the top, and then you get your 15 seconds to take a photo, and then you got to go back down.
Wow.
So if I liked mountaineering, maybe there's a small. It would probably be ego to want to do it, but it's not from what I've heard, an enjoyable,
Not as cool as it
mountaineering
sounds, is what you're saying.
experience. Yeah. It's a lot of people that have money that want to be able to brag that they've climbed the highest mountain.
How many?
Go ahead.
How many languages do you speak?
3 poorly, including English.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You speak English better than I do.
Better than Mike.
No doubt about that.
How many languages do you speak, Mike? Is that
Half
zero?
of one.
Okay, so what kind of missionaries were your parents?
My mom was a teacher, and then my dad was in linguistics, so he's like doing translation work.
Okay.
Yeah. So went to English speaking schools. That's why I don't have an accent. Well, my parents also don't have accents. And it was normal until I realized it wasn't normal. That's the thing. It's like whatever your context is as a kid, you literally have no clue like anything else exists.
When
So-
did you start realizing it?
Well, we come back to the States every couple years, and when the other kids were playing with you, like up to a certain age, it doesn't matter. But then as you're getting older and more self-aware, you're like, I have very little in common with you. But I would, we'd have the Xbox, Halo LAN parties, and still,
I just got an Xbox, so I just started doing that.
Oh, boy.
And here
learn
begins
to
the beginning of
skateboard.
the downfall of Stack Capital or whatever, Stack Development. Don't ask me how I know.
So you're traveling back and forth a little bit. So you're starting to realize there's some differences. What age did you move to the United States?
I moved back to go to college, so I was 18, yeah.
So you're an adult. Okay.
I was an adult, and so, I mean, fast forward kind of to the entrepreneurial influence. My mom's side of the family was all fairly entrepreneurial, so my grandpa owned a ship scrapping company in Seattle, owned some real estate, industrial real estate down there, and kind of the wave of like ship decommissioning after World War II was his like bread and butter. So he'd decommission old Navy ships, did that for decades, and then my uncle kind of took that over. So kind of was always a little exposed to owning a business. My parents technically, it wasn't a business, but they were sort of self-employed. So, and they had one rental property. But yeah, I always loved real estate, loved houses. I remember 2012, sometime after the Great Recession where things started to turn around, I remember looking at real estate in a bunch of different states. I'm like, oh, it's so cheap. Like, I wish I could. I was like,
how'd you
20
know it was
years
cheap?
old. I don't know. I was just like, because I was looking at, particularly in Maine. I don't know why I was in Maine. I was just looking at like rural Maine at these mansions, you know, on huge estates, and there'd be plaques about, you know, revolutionary battles that took place on their property, and they were selling for like $300,000. I was like, this is crazy. So that was kind of my exposure
That's
to
only
real
a $1,800 payment. Civil War history in my backyard.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of knew what my parents paid for their property, and so I kind of knew, like, I was just comparing what they paid versus what that cost. So.
At that time, were you interested in making money on real estate, or just thinking it'd be cool to have a big house?
It was
for
just cool.
$300,000?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it'd be awesome. And then I went to school in Spokane, and we were renting a house with 13 guys.
You go to Gonzaga?
Lived near there. I went to, this is probably a detour for where we want to go in this conversation, but I went to a mission aviation school. So I was learning to become a missionary pilot. But anyways, lived very near Gonzaga, and we're in this pretty sketchy part of Spokane.
All of
like,
Spokane.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the south part's kind of nice, but it was like close to Gonzaga, close to the river, like good location, just like a sketchy area. And there was 13 guys in this 5-bedroom house, and we were all paying $250 a month. And a couple years later, I looked up how much he paid. He paid $70,000.
But in what
cash
year,
flowing.
though?
Yeah. Well, this was, I don't know, probably 2013.
Oh, wow.
$70,000. We were
Okay.
paying $250 a month times 13. So you do the math on that, like what that cash on cash
You
is.
had 2 years to get your money back.
Insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, he does nothing. His house was disgusting. So that was when I started to think
Slumlord
about the
special.
money side. I was like, be pretty awesome to be making, you know, $50,000 a year
On one house.
on one really shitty house. Yeah. That was like 5 over the fire code for occupancy.
You graduate from school, the job you're looking for is probably not going to pay a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, zero. I mean, that was kind of how my parents were able to do what they did. You know, that's how they put us through private schools, is they had the income from the rental property. And they would always tell us, like, if we went on vacation, it's like, oh, the rental property paid for this.
Oh,
Why'd they only get one of them?
that's all they needed.
They never leveraged. So, yeah, they never
just
had a
free and
mortgage.
clear
Probably
cash
because they couldn't get a mortgage, I'm guessing. So they bought that first rental property. It was originally just a house to live in, and they built an ADU. So they had kind of 2 units, and it was, you know, not leveraged. So they
Where was that house?
an island outside of Seattle, Vashon Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where your parents originally came from?
That's where, yeah. So they were there. My mom grew up there.
Okay.
So that's where my grandpa lived.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you get your pilot's license?
I did. I'm an aviation mechanic by licensure, and then I'm also a pilot. So
What can you fly?
the coolest thing that I've flown is a World War I biplane. Flew that down from Alaska.
That's sketchy as hell to fly. That's old as shit.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, it's open cockpit.
Damn!
It was late fall in Alaska, probably early fall down here, and it was so cold. Like, we were, you know, full, like, just as many jackets as you could put on and still fly the plane. And I was in the front seat, he was in the back seat, and I was so grateful to be in the front seat because the engine warmth was like warming up my lower
What altitude
regions.
were you flying?
Well, so it's, you know, coming down from Alaska, there's a lot of mountains. So we were as low as we could unless we were in the mountains. And then it was, you know, I think the highest we got was like 11,000 feet. And it was so
How cold was it up there?
Well, the wind chill
it's
factor.
sub-zero.
Yeah, I mean, you have like the canopy, or not like the windshield. So you're not like feeling the wind, but you're feeling the ambient
air.
temperature. Yeah. Oh, it was so cold.
It's like being in a freezer. I mean,
It was
Colder.
It was a very cool experience. It was not a fun experience.
you flew it from where?
From not Anchorage. What's the Fairbanks? Yeah, Fairbanks down to Vancouver. Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's not a short flight.
that was 3 days. Yeah.
So did you yourself
3
work
days.
on the plane to make sure it was going to run before you flew it?
So I flew it down with this guy who his business is doing these joy rides basically for people that come up in the summer. And so he comes down to essentially winterize the plane every year. So I tagged along. So that didn't answer your question about what I can fly.
Are you instrument rated? Can you fly at night?
I can fly at night. I was very close to getting my instrument rating, and then my instructor went off to the airlines, and I couldn't find somebody, and then I just didn't finish it out. So it's still a dream of mine to get the rest of the ratings, get my commercial.
So you were going to be a missionary pilot? Like you go on missions?
Like a bush pilot, like in Papua New Guinea.
Oh.
So flying in missionaries into remote locations.
Like flying food, aid, people, that kind of thing.
Onto little backwoods runways that are just mowed out of a...
Super dangerous. Because originally I was like, I want to be a fighter pilot. And then I realized I didn't want to commit to 10 years to the Air Force. And I don't love following rules. So it's like, I don't know if the Air Force is right for me. And then I was like, what's the second coolest type of flying I could do? And that was being a missionary pilot. But there was a certain amount of self-awareness that I eventually got to of like, I don't know if I want to do it. I think it sounds really cool, but I don't think I actually want to make a life out of it. Yeah.
See, he's like decades ahead of us from an emotional intelligence level.
Yeah, you didn't have to do it for 20 years before you realized, maybe that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty significant commitment. Not only like all the costs to get your training done, but you're moving to other parts of the world that are pretty remote. So I was just not.
So you scrapped it, and
I mean,
during college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a college dropout.
Congratulations.
Which is part of my... Are you also a college dropout?
No.
You just said
you saved my money.
I
dropped out.
I joined the beer club.
Are you selling beer club memberships?
If you guys want to join Beer Drinkers of America, $13 lifetime membership. It's a deal.
Does Trevor get a referral?
I get a $1 referral for every member.
Oh, wow.
No,
You're going to be a millionaire on beer club memberships.
There's thousands of members.
Did you join, Caleb?
He's
beer club?
Yeah.
I mean, the more he talks about it, the less I want to join. So.
Dude, he gets $1.30 off you signing up. This is not okay.
Okay, so you pivot. You drop out of school, and what are you thinking at that point in your head?
At that point, I have no idea. I was teaching myself how to code because I was like, I could do that kind of anywhere. It's self-taught. You don't really need a degree. But I did not love it. And then at one point, my cousin who owned a commercial bakery in Vancouver, they were looking for a supply chain manager and reached out to me. I think they were just looking for somebody semi-responsible that wasn't going to quit on them in 2 weeks.
Semi-responsible?
Like you, Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, I was like 23 and... so I took the job because I was like, this could become a career. At that point, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I can't really get a non-service industry. I can't really get a career type job. At least I thought I couldn't without a degree.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that seems like an open door. Walk through it. We'll see what happens. Initially, I was very... lured in by the responsibility and the title and a 23-year-old handling millions of dollars of purchase orders. It's like felt pretty cool,
felt significant.
So I was like, this is all. And I think when you're learning, it can distract you from the fact that you actually don't enjoy the job, because I really love learning.
The learning was fun.
And I was like thrown into the deep end with a lot, it was like there's piranhas in the deep end too. So there was a ton at stake that every day, you show up to work and they have these like production runs of brands that you might have heard of. And it was my responsibility to make sure all the ingredients were there. And the thing with like food is it has shelf life. So you can't just like order a ton of it and like always be safe. So you always want to try to order just enough.
And then there's always one ingredient that's hard to get or is delayed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was there for 2 years, and the stress of that coupled with the fact that the job was not rewarding at all. Like it wasn't like a project cycle where it's like you finish the project, you feel good about the project, and you can kind of like wrap it up. It was like always ongoing. And the stress of that, was just, it made for I just hated working there. But one particular example of like why this job was the worst and I'm getting to how this kind of pushed me into real estate. We were doing this test run for this new client. That's like probably going to be our biggest client. And they scheduled, 3 weeks out or so. They were going to all fly in from New York. They work for private equity. And so they send me over their ingredient list of, we're going to do these 3 SKUs and we need these ingredients. So I'm like, great, cool. We'll get it ordered. So one of the ingredients was chocolate chips, which came from North Carolina. Ordered it. I got to handle all the logistics, the shipping and everything. So, scheduled the refrigerated truck to pick up the chocolate chips from North Carolina. Don't really think anything of it. I'm like, it's going to arrive in, 7 to 8 days. We'll have a couple days buffer. We'll be great. So 7 days goes by. I have this automation to follow up. Be like, okay, you're probably going to be scheduling a doc appointment pretty soon. And so reach out to them. You're like, oh yeah, we just delivered this. And I was like, no, you didn't. And they're like, yeah, it's delivered. And I was like, where? Because it's not here. Like, oh, we just delivered it to Houston. And I was like, that's not Vancouver. Why is it in Houston? They're like, oh, I think we swapped your orders.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, well, great. Let's get a truck. We still have a couple days time. Let's get it back to Vancouver. They're like, yeah, our warehouse is closed indefinitely. I'm like, why? Well, Hurricane Harvey was hitting the next day and everything was on lock. So, and I think 3 days later, on the following Monday, this whole executive team was flying out to see how their product ran, and every single product used chocolate chips. And it was a very specific type of chocolate chip because it had to be low calorie but dark. So anyways, I don't even remember. It was so traumatizing that I don't remember how I resolved it. But the stress of that for a 23-year-old, didn't enjoy it.
The stress overcame the curiosity.
Totally. So anyways, I was like, okay, I can't. Well, at some point I started to realize I don't want to work here, but all I have as far as marketable skills are kind of supply chain stuff. So I started looking at supply chain jobs and I was like, what am I doing? I hate supply chain. So then I was like, okay, well, if it's not supply chain, I have no other skills, so maybe I got to just start a business.
News to you, you're in the supply chain industry.
We all are. So then I was like, okay, we'll start a business. And just fast forward, looked into a bunch of different things, and stumbled on Bigger Pockets. Started listening to podcasts, started to read some books. It's I think this makes sense. It just started, it's the cliche. You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You start to understand that there's a different way to build wealth, and it's not on an hourly rate, and it's it's about leveraging assets and operational upside, and it clicked for me. And I think especially when you're young, you don't know what you don't know. I had an abundance of confidence. I was like, I can do this, especially when you're listening to podcasts and the people on the podcast they don't sound super smart. And you're like, I think I'm at least as smart as that person, and they've been very successful. So I while I was working at this job, I got one earbud in listening to a podcast while filling out purchase orders, and it probably led to some mistakes at my job, but I was learning, an entirely new set of skills while also still getting a paycheck. And then when I hit the 2-year mark, I was eligible for a mortgage. So pretty much a couple weeks leading up to that, I was working with a lender. They're like, okay, when you hit your 2 weeks, you're going to be good to go. This is what you're going to be qualified for. And so I knew, basically what my loan limit was going to be. I knew I didn't want to pay a mortgage because at that point I was paying $250 a month and it included food. So I was like, it's pretty good. Hard to beat that. So I knew I needed roommates, and I kind of calculated how many roommates I needed to pay for my mortgage. So I knew I needed a 5-bedroom house, and it couldn't be more than $380,000. And it had to be in an area that people at least wanted to live with me. And I had started to talk to my friends. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Would you want to live with me? And by some miracle, I got 4 of them to say yes. So at that point, I just had a search filter. I was like, okay, I think it was a little bit over 380 because I figured I'd negotiate them down. And long story short, bought a house for $382,000, and it was 5 bedrooms, 3 bath in Monteville in Portland, just East Tabor. And I got 4 friends to move in, paid me $650 a month in rent, and I lived rent-free, mortgage-free. I wasn't paying anything, and made about $300 a month.
And you're 25 years old.
Yeah, 25.
Dang.
And
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so at that point, I think I was there 2 years to the day, or not to the day, but pretty close. And
You quit.
And then I quit like 2 weeks later.
This is Trevor's story.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
I made $250. I quit.
So dumb. I was like, I can live for free indefinitely, and I knew like I'm so frugal. Like I could spend $500 a month and be fine. You just go into Winco, you're shopping the deals. Now, like if I was gonna eat out, like my friends like to eat out fairly regularly, I might get one thing off the happy hour menu. Usually wouldn't get a drink. I've since changed, but
Fries in the water, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
Hey, can we go to McMinimans instead of that bougie spot down the street?
Yeah, I mean, we had our spots that were very great for your dollar to go a long way. Matador, $5
dive bar or Montevilla.
Yeah,
Acropolis.
Not with that outfit on.
Are you kidding?
They're going to put you on
right
stage.
Yeah. So quit my job, and at that point, I was also trying to buy a flip of some sort. And I talked to my parents and convinced them. It's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. You guys should be my first.
I know what I'm doing on a flip. I just bought a house there by the room. Yeah.
The surplus
Not
of
just a
confidence
flip. He wanted to do a lot confirmation and a
so
flip.
Unwarranted.
And they did it with you?
Yeah. So I was talking with this agent who convinced me that she worked with a lot of investors and she knew how to find a good deal. Because at that point,
that's what they all say. None of them know.
I was at their mercy. They could have told me anything and I would have believed it. And they were nice. They all
She
brought her, her 3-year-old daughter, and it's like you're just warming up to them. You're like, she would never take advantage of me. She's not doing this for the commission. She's doing this because she wants to help my career. So, anyways, we found this deal, and I say deal in quotes because the way she sold it to me, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Why isn't anybody else doing this deal? I didn't ask those questions, but so anyways, it was
maybe he's not as emotionally intelligent as I thought he was.
This is back then.
And this is where we get to the junkie part of Deal Junkies. You make a lot of poor decisions to justify your addiction. So at that point, I was a fledgling junkie.
Mm-hmm.
I had yet to have my first hit, but it was coming. So this property.
What are you talking about? You had a $300 a month IV and free shelter.
That's true.
You were
That's his first
you were
hit. That was my
already
first
on the
hit. I was like,
machine.
put more of that in my veins.
I need more.
So this house was North Portland on Columbia Boulevard.
Oh, very
If you're
nice
familiar.
area.
Dude.
Would have made a great outdoor industrial storage. But it was a lot split and a flip, so it wasn't just an easy flip.
With the sewer issue.
And the lot that we were splitting off was on Columbia. It was a corner lot with 100 square feet of frontage on Columbia. And the house was 800 square feet, 2-bed, 1 bath, and just the shittiest house you've ever seen. Come to find, like dirt foundation or like dirt basement. Come to find out, I had a lot of unpermitted work. I had an unpermitted addition, and I went into it completely blind. And her husband happened to be a contractor. So I was like, oh, that's convenient. Like, I'll just work with him. You guys are so great. This is gonna be a great deal. Alignment of incentives. She's gonna list it
Rinse
for
and
me.
repeat.
Yeah. So about halfway through, I started to add up the invoices and compare it to the budget, and then also compare it to the work that had been done. I was like, something's not quite making sense here. Like, this was supposed to be done. I paid you for it, but I just looked at it, and I don't have any construction experience, but it doesn't look done to me. And when I started to like bring up those issues, I just received a lot of silence. So that's
and quickly, like for newer people getting into flips, this is where having a hard money lender with a construction draw is very valuable for you, because there's a reason they hire a third party inspector before they give out the cash.
Yeah.
And if you're using private capital, you don't have this level of experience. I've seen this happen to everyone.
I did use a hard money lender.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a combo, and I'm trying to remember. I'm assuming they probably had inspections, but I'm not really sure how that fell through the cracks. But anyways, eventually they just disappeared, completely ghosted me. Couldn't get a hold of them.
Do you call his wife?
Yeah, I called everybody,
and she doesn't answer either.
Doesn't answer. And
wow, really?
And the city, I think somebody had reported it a couple of months ago, maybe before I bought it. So they send an inspector out, and he starts writing me up for all of the code violations. And that's a first for me. You know, I've never had to work with a city inspector before, and I didn't have a contractor at that point to kind of be the buffer. So I get this laundry list of all the things that needs to be fixed. And meanwhile, I'm getting fined, you know, every month that it's not fixed. And so, you know, I start working through the punch list and feeling pretty good about myself. Call him out, you know, like, hey, I think I got everything done. He's like,
are you
great.
doing this yourself at that point?
At this point, I'm just doing it myself. And it's not like most of the construction, like I would say it was like 75% done. And I was hiring I was GCing, and I was still hiring subs to do more specialty stuff. But he comes out, you know, sure enough, you finished all those things, and then he writes me up for like another 10 things, and they're bigger. He's like, oh, this addition, this wasn't permitted. So then, you know, brings up the unpermitted addition. He's like, okay, you're gonna need to permit that. Notice, you know, the electrical had been done, but it wasn't permitted. And to somebody who's never done a single thing in construction, this was the most overwhelming thing I could have ever experienced, because I'm like, it's never going to end. Every time I call him out, he's going to call me out. You know, there's going to be a whole new list of things that I'm going to have to fix. And meanwhile, you know, you're paying your monthly payments, and you're getting fined from the city. And then on the lot split side, to this day, and I've done, I don't know, 10 lot splits now. This was the hardest lot split I have ever done. It was, there was utilities crossing through the lot that I was splitting that had to get moved. It was on a street, you know, a super busy street. So that meant it was just more complicated.
Got to pay to close the street.
We didn't
down.
have, fortunately, the utilities were in the side street, so we didn't have to do that. But yeah, it was just a nightmare. It took forever, and then the lot was worth. I sold it for $70,000 for a 50 by 100, just because of how bad of a location.
How much did it cost you to separate that lot off?
$80,000.
Yeah, 30 or 40.
So you still profited.
What did they ultimately build there?
I think they built a single family.
A single family home. Yeah.
I haven't driven by since it's been done, because it just fills me with PTSD. But all in all, I eventually sold it. I got my license because I was like, I can save at least 2.5%.
Broker license.
Yep. I got it in like 3 weeks. And at that point, I had been connected to Rarebird through their investor network. It was like kind of a no-brainer. And Mike was like kind of coaching me to how to get this done.
He told you that was a deal.
No, Mike would have saved me if I had talked to Mike before. So that's probably my biggest takeaway as like as a new investor, was like, I gotta talk to people about my deals before I buy them, because
you need a certified deal killer in your back pocket.
Yeah, this guy's just gonna
rip certified
every
deal
I do to shreds. But he would save me a lot of heartache.
But then when I praise the deals that are good, then they're that much better, right? You get that much more excited about it. I don't kill every deal.
It's true. So anyways, long story short, lost about 30,000.
That's not bad.
Lived to see another day.
Did the inspections ever finally come to an end?
Oh, okay. Well, they did.
Did you have to like
So when I was under contract, so what I figured out with the inspector is I would start scheduling the inspections for the 1 day a week off that this inspector wasn't working.
Avoid him.
Because the other inspector that filled in for this guy when he was off was actually very nice to work with. And so I would just schedule all my inspections for like Thursday or whatever when he was off. And that's how I got it done.
Smart. So good.
So, but then the other inspections when I was under contract, the roof failed and I had redone the roof, or like the contractor had redone the roof. And I was
on
like,
the back end sale.
So when the buyer was doing their inspections, the roof was one of the bigger things that came up, is like this failed, and for good reason. I think it was done terribly. I was like, how, if it's brand new, how could it fail? And I was like, well, roofs have warranties, right? Like, I'll just like talk to the roofer about the warranty. Couldn't find the roofer at all. Like, there was no company that did it. So as best I can figure, and I figured out where they bought the shingles from, because I called the supplier. I was like, who did this roof? And they're like, well, I think your contractor did. I think he just like found somebody at Home Depot and put the roof on. No warranty, obviously didn't know what they were doing. And there were a bunch of things like that where I'm like,
did you ever hear from the broker or contractor again, or never?
Yeah. But I did get a call from the Department of Justice for just a verbal testimony on my experience with him, because they're working on a fraud case. Yeah. So, funny enough, one of the other brokers at Rarebird, Kristen, her husband was a sub on this project and had never gotten paid. So Kristen calls me basically screaming at me, like, you got to pay my husband. And I was like, I don't know who your husband is. I've never worked with him before. I think you got the wrong person. She's like, was it this property? And I was like, well, yeah, but I didn't hire him. So this contractor not only was not doing work, he wasn't paying his subs either.
Go figure, his wife was a broker.
Yeah.
But
I hope you're listening.
But they're National Association of Realtors. They have ethics and morals. And
so that was my first deal. I only got better from there.
Wait, you're $30,000, because you didn't have $30,000 personally, really, did you? Or did you?
No. So then I was like, I got to do another deal.
So you lost your parents $30,000.
I got to fall forward. Yeah.
Isn't that what you do when you lose $30,000? You sign up for another deal.
Were they upset, or were they like, whatever?
Well,
like,
at that point, they had set aside money for college, and I didn't use it all. So they're like, they kind of like chalked it up to paying tuition, which is kind of the way
that's good on them to understand
that I was like coaching myself.
Yeah, you learned a lot.
I just paid tuition. Yeah, because that's the best way that I found to deal with a loss. Is like, well, people spend a lot of money going to school and learn a lot less than I just learned.
And you dealt with crooks and only lost $30,000.
Yeah,
if you weren't dealing with crooks, you would have actually not lost.
So
money
was the
on a bad
deal good itself? Actually,
no, dude,
no,
terrible.
It was a bad deal. So I think the location was the number one.
Yeah, hard
to sell. The fact that it was overpriced because it assumed you'd split the lot, but the lot wasn't worth anything.
Yeah,
like if it was just a flip, which it should have been, it would have been priced even lower, because I sold the house for $330,000. So I bought it for $250,000, sold the house for $330,000. So it would have been you would have lost money on the flip. So now, because I've done a bunch of lot splits, now I basically look to break even on the house, and then all the
profit
upside
on the
is.
Lot.
So the next deal I did was a lot split.
Why'd this make you want to do it again? Because you learned the lessons.
I learned the process, and I learned the hard way what not to do. You know, you don't want your utilities are going to be the biggest expense with splitting. So it's like, if utilities already run straight out from the house and they don't cut through the lot, you're going to save, $15,000 or so.
Because most people on that point, they stop. They don't keep doing deals after you lose $30,000.
I honestly didn't feel like there was a plan B, because I didn't have a career to fall back on. I was like, well, this is it. I didn't intentionally burn the bridges, but it was just because I didn't have any other experience to go off of. I looked for other lot splits, because I didn't have enough construction experience to just become a flipper. So the flipping part was secondary to the lot splitting. That second deal probably made $190,000.
That's
in like 6 months. So yeah, it was that was a very different experience. So
yeah, and I'd even just go on the networking component of doing that first bad deal. Like, how many builders did you call as being the broker representing yourself? And so he took that loss and created a network worth more than $30,000. And so what he does really well on his lot splits is he knows the land value really, really well. He knows who the buyer's going to be. He doesn't put it on the market. It adds a really great level of component of success in how you work.
Yeah, that was the thing. When I was calling builders, they were always pretty good about telling me why they wouldn't do a deal. And they would tell me why they could pay what they could pay. And so I got to kind of understand their psychology, which actually did help when I eventually started to develop, because I knew on the sales side or on the brokerage side what made for easier deals where you could pay a bit more for the land. So yeah, that was a kind of a good segue eventually into development.
So that first deal, your tuition was paid so you could learn how to split lots, and you felt afterwards like you had that skill set now even more so than just flipping houses. You felt like that was your business model to find.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had the flipping skill set at that point, because it's a little more complicated.
So you're buying a house that maybe just needs a little lipstick, and then you're doing the lot line.
Yeah, so the next house I bought was a smoker house, and learned all about how to kill. Yeah,
but it was also it was I'd say this, it was a pretty easy renovation. You just had to deal with the smoke.
Yeah,
was not an easy lot split. It was a complicated multifamily zone, shrinking the lot size. It's not. He had it
demoing a garage,
removing parking, understanding its proximity to 82nd Avenue. So it was a very complicated structure.
Yeah,
and it was on the market, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was.
And so he saw $200,000 of value in something that other people didn't see, because he understood how he could accomplish the lot confirmation process.
Yeah.
How many months after your first one was this?
It's probably like 3 months.
Did your parents give you the money again for this one?
No, this one I raised it from. I'm trying to remember the other.
They were like, "I'm done giving you money for deals."
Only one tuition.
Well, he already used up his tuition. Nothing left to spend.
That was a one and done situation. Man, I'm trying to remember. I found some other investor, and I think from the very beginning I could always talk confidently about what I was doing, and I think I'm a fairly likable person.
When you say investor, you saying they were a gap lender to pay behind hard money?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and with flip leverage, you don't have to bring a whole lot to the table.
Did you see the $190,000 profit on the front end, or was it a surprise to you that you made that much?
I thought it would make more. I thought I would make over 200. I made a lot of mistakes on the house. I basically under renovated it and suffered for it on the back end.
Yeah. And holding costs and time
the big one that I under renovated, and I've never made this mistake again. I didn't run the water. So I didn't get an inspection done, which was stupid, but I never tested the water pressure before demoing everything. And so I did this beautiful new bathroom. It was 2 bathrooms, but 2 beautiful new bathrooms. And then when I finally got it under contract, they obviously are running the showers and everything. Nothing's like you got the sink on, nothing's coming out of the shower, or vice versa. I was like, what is
You're only
happening?
going to use one at a time, though.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I use like a drip out of the shower, and it's like this beautiful, brass and slate shower. And I was like, this is not good. Old galvanized plumbing. Didn't think to replace it. Got to replace it. So that it was those kinds of things. Like I could have sold it for a lot more. I didn't remove the concrete from the old garage, so it just looked super funky in the back.
Still made $190,000 though, but
yeah. But I realized like I could have probably made a bit more. So every deal I do, I have like a post-mortem note that I like all the mistakes I made, the things that went well. What I want to do is put all those into ChatGPT to kind of become like more educated on my blind spots. Mm-hmm. But
and for anyone who's listening, that's exactly where my brain's going right now, is how much of our past historic process, successes and failures, how much info can I load into ChatGPT right now just so I can vibe with it? so it knows me intimately, knows our business intimately.
Yeah, I guarantee it knows you intimately with how much you talk to it.
Well, even payroll.
We should pull it up right now and ask it what your darkest secret is.
I even mean like to the level of historic levels of payroll, so it can see how you've grown in staffing and shrunk in staffing versus your revenue, right? So tax returns, there's so much you can load into there and have it intimately know you to the point where, because all you're doing is having it organize your thoughts.
Yeah, so it can become an advisor that's fully trained on your business.
Exactly.
So anyways, long story short, I've done, probably 10 lot splits.
Do you make that much on a typical lot split? That sounds like a lot to me to make on one deal.
6 figures is a good deal. If you get a good lot
I wouldn't
for
do
free,
it for less
couple
than 6
hundred.
figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most recent one that I just did in the fall, I made 250.
How much were you making as a supply chain person?
40.
Okay, so you just...
Which I thought was good money. I was
so you made like 5 years of salary on one deal.
Yeah. And then I mean...
What'd you do? What'd you do with the money? Like, you're like, this is sick.
Paid back my parents and put it into the next deal. Yeah. So, I mean, that was, I want to say 2019. Started to realize, like, multifamily is easier to scale. It's, it's just, it's a better fit if you're trying to grow a business and you don't want, scattered site management. And it was also kind of the direction that Bigger Pockets was pushing people, and that was my primary influence at that point.
Did you listen to Mike's Bigger Pockets episode?
I don't know if I ever listened. That was a long way ago.
That's how I met Mike.
Ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was in 21.
Maybe I did.
December 21.
So I thought, you buy for cash flow. Portland at that point, it's really hard to buy for cash flow. So I went to Kansas City because I had a buddy out there, and he was in real estate. He wasn't in multifamily, but so I bought two buildings out there.
Just conventionally?
Seller finance, yeah.
Okay.
So the first one was the lease option. Basically, no money down, but we had a renovation holdback that was kind of our down payment. Mm-hmm. And so we put that into renovating the building. We had 1 year to refinance, and we had already, been talking with lenders, and ended up selling. So, well, we didn't really do a whole lot to the building. We put in a nonprofit that put homeless veterans, I think, and resettled them into housing, and they were willing to pay FMR for these units, and they were 2-bedroom units. So I think we were making, on paper, we were probably making $15,000 gross income. But then you've got, utilities aren't covered, and nobody is more inefficient with energy than somebody that doesn't have to pay their utilities. So our utility bills would make you cry, because on paper, like, man, this thing's going to do all right. So then you get, it's a 100-year-old brick. It's 2-3-story brick buildings in Kansas City.
How many units?
12. Yeah.
So you went, what's the price for that?
So I bought it for $670.
Okay.
So about just over.
Were you thinking this was a pretty big deal for you at that point? Because 12 units sounds like a lot when you don't.
It sounded like a lot, but the purchase price was pretty close to the single family deals that I was looking at in Portland. So on a dollar amount, it wasn't intimidating. The most intimidating part was the age of the building and the number of units, because you just multiply problems that cost relatively the same amount to fix in Kansas City as they do in Portland. If you got to replace your whole plumbing stack, it's not a whole lot cheaper in Kansas City, but you multiply that by 12 units. Yeah, spendy.
And you're 2,000 miles away.
So yeah, CapEx was expensive, and then utilities were expensive. So it wasn't a great deal. And I ended up selling that in 2021. So held it for 2 years. And
did you refi it, or did he extend his?
So we just had no, he didn't extend. I guess it technically would be a refi, but yeah, we had a 1 year, or we had a loan on it with a local bank.
So when you did that, because you did a lease option on the front end, did it make it hard to go into that debt, or did they just consider it like a refi?
Yeah, I think they just considered it like a refi. So we had pretty good terms. I don't think we had to bring any cash to close.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of problems with some lenders that don't understand lease option, that you have control of this building
because you're not on title.
So they can't get it through their head. Versus other lenders are like,
it's also it executes an escrow as a purchase.
Yeah. So that's the weird part. Because sometimes they say like, why don't you bring money, even though you might have already had money in and created this whole equity gap that's there. But
yeah. So I mean that ended up being a decent deal. We sold it during COVID for $960. So, and we probably put 50 into it. So I think made a little over 200,000.
How'd you manage that from so far away?
Just property management. It didn't require a whole lot because there's essentially 2 layers of property management. We had the manager managing the nonprofits, in-house manager.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because we rented all 12 units to them. They had, I think they just had 1 unit vacant.
It's kind of like one tenant.
Yeah,
really.
they had one of the units vacant that they managed out of.
So how come you don't like this deal so much? Because you turned $50,000 into 200 in 2 years. Like, that's amazing.
I don't dislike it. I think I just thought it would be
better
on a deal. I think we took advantage of the fiscal policies of COVID and sold for a value that didn't make sense to keep holding.
Yeah.
So I bought another deal out there that was probably my most complex deal. It was because at that point I had done
not even probably.
It was. I had done a couple of renovations. I done a couple of flips. I want to say I had done one ADU, and this was a vacant warehouse in downtown Kansas City, 130-year-old automotive warehouse. Super cool building and like prime location, and the market was on fire. I was thinking I could probably build this out in a year, and I was at that point thinking we'd have ground floor retail, second floor we could do 6 units, and I was going to do like a rooftop patio. I was just going to pimp it out.
Pimp my building.
I'm going to pimp out a 130-year-old warehouse. That's not going to cost any money.
And I'm thinking like, we got walls already, we got a foundation. It's going to be easier than development. Well, turns out adaptive reuse is way harder than ground up, especially during COVID and being 2,000 miles away. So we got it done. It was a long stretch because we bought it in July of 2019. It's great timing. And we started construction. We finally got permits. I think it was in like November, and started construction that winter. COVID hits, things stop. And then all the supply chain shocks of COVID cause our material costs to skyrocket. And fortunately, like, rents were going up too. So it kind of was saved by the fact that our pro forma got padded quite a bit by rent increases. But just a very challenging deal to manage from a distance. But it's sick. It's awesome now. So we got...
You still own it?
Yeah.
He loves it.
I do. It's not a great deal.
Dude, I feel like it might be, considering you just told me your last deal that you didn't like, you made $200,000 on. Like, what do you mean? You're going from making $40,000 to $190,000? Like, it sounds to me like you're just balling now at that point, making these big fees.
I took an acquisition fee on this one, and that's the only money I've made on it so far. So, there was a couple months last year where the Royals baseball team was trying to build a new baseball stadium, and their site location was right on top of our building. There were miles of empty parking lots just to the north. So why they picked one of the densest parts of Kansas City for their site location is beyond me. But at that point, I was thinking like eminent domain. Maybe we could actually like sell this for a decent amount. And I was kind of excited about it. Sad because I would lose this awesome building, but excited because we might have a great payday. And it didn't pass the vote. Surprise, surprise, because they were going to demo like 60 historic buildings.
So stupid.
So, there is a Royals mural on the building too. It came with a Royals mural, so I was like, that's kind of fitting that they would demo a building with their own logo on it.
So this thing doesn't cash flow for you?
No, it does.
Okay.
So we've master leased it to a company that does midterm rentals.
Did you put a rooftop bar on it?
We did not.
Oh.
It
would cost $1 million.
I got talked off the ledge on that one. Like just the engineering alone would have been 6 figures. So yeah, no rooftop bar sadly, but it's 5 1-bedroom units and then a 3-bed unit on the end, kind of the penthouse.
So what's next? What's your future? What are you aiming towards? Are you still going to go east, or are you going to start doing more stuff in Oregon? Are you going to try to do bigger multifamily? What's your goal?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm on here. That's why I invited myself on. I need coaching from the multifamily gurus, because I took a break. I sold multifamily during COVID. I didn't buy anything. I was part of a mastermind that was fully
like sold as in brokered, or like
no, just
portfolio?
exited that 12 unit.
Yeah.
Kept the mixed use, but decided the market was illogical, and I couldn't justify raising money into deals where you'd have to have really insane projections on rents and cap rates, and but I was a part of a mastermind that was kind of like helping people scale their multifamily
Which one was
business.
this?
It was called Kingdom Real Estate Investors. It was kind of like a Christian multifamily syndicate, or like syndication
community.
Turns out the guy that ran that started the community, and he had bought a bunch of deals, probably bought maybe $300 million in deals.
Damn.
Got foreclosed on.
Ooh.
Several. So
Bad underwriter, or just too bullish?
The market.
Just the market. I mean, he bought in Austin
shorter
in
term
2022.
Yeah.
He had just bought in the Sun Belt in 2022. It's like you could be incredibly conservative and still lose 100% of your equity.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to not get foreclosed.
Was he doing shorter term dets on them, or like? Because if you're buying then and you have 10-year,
I mean,
debt
2022.
still.
Yeah, I think if you're doing value add, you probably would have some sort of bridge debt. You know, that resets after 3 years. So, but also you can breach loan covenants without. You could have a 5-year term and still breach your loan covenants, and the bank can call your loan due. So, anyways, all I have to say, didn't buy any multifamily. Now starting to see some opportunity in the multifamily. Mike and I are writing offers on sub-institutional multi.
Have you guys partnered before?
Not on a deal, no.
So what? And you're looking to partner now?
Yeah, because I mean, you go further together. So, and I don't have the same balance sheet and experience that Mike has. Mike and I, we've known each other for a while, so we were pretty comfortable with how the other operates. He's got the management, the property management company. We both have pretty decent construction experience at this point.
In different types of construction experience.
Yeah.
And he syndicated Kansas City, so he's got syndication experience and understands capital stacks.
So sub-institutional is what to you, 5 to 50?
Yeah. I mean, 50 I think is getting tricky because you're
I think we've offered on like 19 to 35 units have been the buildings we've offered
in Oregon.
The Cloverleaf was 40. So
40,
that's the highest.
Yeah.
Why are you not getting? You don't have one yet that you've gotten under contract?
No. The closest one that we had was a 19 unit in East Portland, and the day after I submitted the offer, and I think I submitted it 110 a unit, and this is the 1996 vintage, so it would have been
that's a good deal,
great basis. Not the best location, but it was clean. It was next to a brand new 55 plus community on one side, and then on the other side was a Multnomah County health building, just an office park. So great neighbors. It was on 102nd and Burnside. So, past 205, not the
it's in the area we really don't the whole property in right now.
But when you go in at 110 a unit, and talking with the broker, he was like, yep, I think we can get it done at 110, maybe 115 a unit. So and we had initially offered seller financing at full price, but they were looking to do an exchange into a Delaware statutory trust, and try as we might to convince them that seller financing is better than a DST. when you're going, it got lost in translation. Maybe, I don't know. But the day after I submitted the offer, and I was feeling pretty good about it. I was, just trolling through Facebook and see a news article about a 4-alarm fire in East Portland. And, click on it. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like the building I wrote an offer on.
No way.
And I zoomed in a little bit. I'm like, sure enough, that is the building I wrote an offer on. So called the broker, and he was like, yeah, one of the tenants threw a Molotov cocktail into the neighboring tenant's apartment.
It's so insane.
And I honestly don't know if we dodged the bullet or if we got unlucky.
I mean,
we had our
we would have been okay as owners. Our property management team would have hated us and fired us.
Mike, we just had our storage complex burned down, or part of it.
Oh, dude.
When we were in Istanbul, and we get the text from Jordan in a photo. He's like, "Hey guys, check out what happened." I started dying laughing, which is not the reaction.
That's the Paul Curley reaction.
Yeah.
It burned down.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. You fully made it when you can laugh at it.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, SWAT broke in.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, oh shit, how do I fix this? And I was like, oh, I'm on the other side of the world right now. Jordan's got this.
You had some tennis shoes to buy.
Yeah, I've had these $20 knockoffs I had to get.
More important things working on. Bigger deals.
So when you're looking at that deal, you guys were going to syndicate it or JV it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Initially, we thought we could just get it done the two of us because
with our balance sheet,
our seller finance structure would have worked for that. But
then when you're conventionally buying it, what was the syndicate?
Yeah, probably syndicate or JV. We could have potentially just found one capital partner for that one.
Yeah. What was like the deal metrics you hit in terms of their ROI on their money that you're targeting?
So I think it has to do with how long their capital is at play. They do want to hit a certain IRR. I don't know exactly what that would be, but going in at 110 on their in-place rents and in-place expenses, granted there could be some error to that, but it would have been an in-place 8% cash on cash. So
that's really good.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
It was
with a great basis.
Because what I've found, because we're looking at a lot of deals like that, is we have to hit a 40% plus project level AAR to get investors a return that makes sense after you take your splits and fees and everything, which is hard to do. There's not a lot of deals that do that.
No, and that's ultimately that's probably why we haven't gotten anything done is what we're asking and the structure. Because one way we can give a higher price is and you guys do this all the time, you give the price they want, the terms that work for you. So we're definitely going in pushing the seller finance component. We've got another property we've been working on for a long time, and we're working at with the broker. They kind of saw the seller finance value, and then her financial advisor started to push her back towards a cash sale because he gets 2% of whatever she sells it for, and so that's still on the market.
So you should look at this. This is what we've been doing a lot of. So it's not fully seller finance, it's a partial syndication, but you leave the seller in the deal with you. So, and you can give them pref, they're a share class within it. So now if they'll leave 10%, 20%, 30% in the deal, you can give them less pref than you would have to give elsewhere, but a higher rate than you would pay them on seller financing. So you might be looking to seller finance at 3%, 4%, but you can give them 6% pref, potentially even deferred or paid out in cash flows. And now that's 20% of your equity stack you need right there, paid at a very low return on a deferred value add payment. And then you can bring 5% into the deal. Yeah. And once we started looking at deals like that, it's holy
opens
shit.
Up a whole,
it's crazy to look at a deal that way, and it gives you so much opportunity. It's all good from a lending perspective too. On a big enough deal, they're deals trade like this all the time, and they can just roll it forward as a share class, which is pretty cool.
So if they're pref, they're not on the GP side, right?
Correct. They'll be in the LP, so you can make a share. You can have, your GP share class and then share class A and B, C, whatever you want, and they can be paid out before or after, whatever you can determine with them.
Do you have to have a level of sophistication from the sellers to be open to that?
Accredited? Oh,
no, just they have to kind of understand what they're getting themselves into, your business plan. You're going to become a partner with them.
Yeah, so part of it too is because it's only 20%, so you can, now it's we can hit your higher price, but you have to leave this in the deal, and then you can model out like, here's how much money you'll make. This is why, or you can do it as an equity split too, right? Depending on their preference. But like when you're now essentially borrowing at that lower rate, it's like, because you got to give your investors, like a 15% AR maybe, and you can give them a 6.
Yeah.
So now it's like the deal that doesn't get them the 15% AR, now they're putting 5% down to own more of the deal, and you can start penciling it. And like it makes a lot more deals pencil, and a lot of sellers don't mind because they know their asset too, and it gets their headache solved on the front end. And
the seller's class is diluted. Yeah, and they might get value to the other class.
80 or 90% of the money now too. Yeah. So it's like,
when it's fair, it's diluted because they get the value of the sale,
and that's tax advantage too, so they're not paying on that right away.
Do you structure their sale as a 721 into the new partnership?
Yeah, that would be the idea. If they can do an equity contribution, and then they can still complete a 1031 or cash money out or do whatever they got to do.
Okay,
there's your first coaching lesson.
I like it.
Isn't that why you signed up?
Deal.
I mean, what we're doing, and you guys do it too. You give them a bunch of different options, and you kind of steer them in one direction over the other, but they still have agency, and they get to pick.
Yeah, and they don't make the best decision for themselves.
Well, and they also don't have the best counsel.
Yeah,
it's counsel with some perverse incentives like this financial advisor. So.
Yeah, I got a seller right now. It keeps coming back. Sorry, I signed that listing agreement. Is your offer still good? No, I really don't care about that project anymore.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up, guys.
Whoa.
Caleb Webster, it's been great having you on the show. If people want to reach out to you, how you guys are going to do this after me without my phone?
Gabe just has to leave, so we'll continue.
You're going to keep going, but I'm going to leave.
Happening in the next hour.
It's going to get serious here in a little bit. How do people reach out to you if they want to contact you?
They could be through Instagram at Caleb the Investor, on Twitter or X at Infill Developer, or my email is cwebster@Rarebird Real Estate.
Yeah, Rarebird Real Estate.
Rarebird.
For now.
All right. Shit. All right, Caleb, it's been great having you on the show. Deal Junkies, thanks for listening. We love you, and we'll see you next time.